again, Ariana from Fast Forward TV. And today I wanted to talk to you again about another film that deals with trapped emotions, basically trapped feelings, trapped emotions. And it's called The Bitter Tears of Petra von Kant. So Die bitteren Tränen der Petra von Kant in German. It's a film by Rainer Werner Fassbinder. It's been done in the 70s. And it stars his main superstar, basically Hanna Schygulla, and Margit Carstensen, who is a brilliant actress. She's not famous at all outside of Germany, I think, but she's a brilliant actress. And Hanna Schygulla was basically his big star, so she's like one of the most famous actresses in all of Fassbinder films. And so basically, it's a story about a very famous fashion designer, and she lives in an interesting sort of house or flat, and basically the whole movie is set in these four walls, so we don't see anything else. So it's almost like a theater play, basically. It's all set in one room. And this designer lives with her maid, who is basically mute, and she does some of the designs for her, and she cleans, etc. And this designer, she's not, she's like a middle-aged woman. She's obviously very intelligent. She's, she's quite old school in a way, so she's worked her way up, and she's obviously wealthy, but not like ridiculously anything. And she lives in Munich, and basically she is going through a separation, but she's absolutely over it. So she, like at the start of the movie, she gives like this sort of like monologue how she's absolutely like disgusted by men. She doesn't like their smell. She doesn't like how they smell and how primitive they are. So she keeps kind of like talking about the whole like primitive side and animal side of men, which she finds now really appalling. So she might have been attracted to that at first, but now she's just appalled by it. And you get the sense that it's a very like mature woman we're dealing with, and she has been through stuff, and now she's just like done with it. And obviously she has a good career, so she doesn't need to chase guys or anything like that. So she's just over it. And one day she meets a model, so she gets introduced to a model who's Hanna Schygulla. She gets introduced to her, obviously, in her flat. She's, brought in basically by a friend, and she's like young and fresh and beautiful, blonde with curly hair. She's quite angelic looking, and she falls in love with her. But this girl, Hanna Schygulla, she is exploiting a situation. So she's not a lesbian. She just sort of exploits the situation. She exploits her goodwill and her love, and she also exploits her emotional dependency just by basically just sleeping with her and being with her together all the time, so that she can model for her collection and become a famous model in the fashion world. And that's exactly what happens. So as the story moves on, the designer becomes more frustrated because she senses that the girl is not on her level. She's basically a child. She is quite manipulative, and the whole situation becomes really wary and sort of like a drag, because you can sense that this girl is not sort of intellectually or emotionally or spiritually or in any way, shape or form sort of feeding her. So there's no nurture going on. So it might have been exciting at first, but then after a while the whole thing just becomes really annoying and boring, and it's just sort of like this stuck situation. So she's really stuck with her. So they're both sort of like stuck with each other, although the girl, she goes out at night and she sleeps with other men, and which makes the designer crazy jealous, but she can't anything do about it. So she's sort of like dependent on her, and then one day the girl is fed up and she leaves. And that's when the healing happens. So the minute she leaves the house, obviously the designer is in absolute agony, and she can't take it, she can't bear it, but something really profound happens. And so how can I wrap this up now? So it's almost like a nice little fairy tale in a way. It's something that everybody can relate to again, which is what I love about Fassbinder, because a Fassbinder film always leaves you with something you can take away from. So you're not just entertained, like he forces you to sort of apply what you've just seen on screen, to apply that on your own life and your own situation. And that's, I think, the magic of having it like a theatre play. Because you're stuck in this one room, you're confined in these four walls, you only have two people, there isn't much action going on, so you're forced to think and you create a story in your head. So this is when the learning process starts for you as well as a spectator. And yeah, this was really interesting, I think. Yeah, the film's really rare like that these days, because all films are just based on entertainment, but Fassbinder is, amongst very few selected others, is quite exceptional, I think. So he leaves you, obviously that it is entertaining, but it's quite dissecting as well. So almost like with a scalpel, he's dissecting the whole situation, this whole love story from the start, before they even meet to the end of how it's gonna like naturally involve, like this whole story from start to finish. He is dissecting it bit by bit by bit. And and I'm sure we've all been in this kind of situation. So yeah, that's definitely something I could I would recommend watching. And it's also interesting because it just plays out in a room. A whole drama, like a whole emotional ups and downs, whole drama just in these four walls. And basically like most, well, I don't want to say love stories, but like most sort of struggles you go through in life, it's just, if you really work through it, there's always a sense of like leveling up. So it's, there could be like liberation, or even if it's not liberating, in the end you've grown. And that's as much as I want to tell you. So yes, I hope you enjoyed this little film recommendation, and if you've seen the film, let me know what you thought about it. And thank you for watching. Bye.